There are so many things to like about the new Kia Tasman. Awesome features, excellent interior design and quality, good off-road performance, decent on-road performance as well, decent handling, decent comfort, and a wide spread of variants to choose from. I love the little steps in the corners so you can jump into the tub. It's got a damped tailgate. You've got multiple hooks and tie points, even a nice power socket in the back there. I like the black alloy wheels on this top spec X-Pro variant. I like the front approach angle, and I like the way that these are just plastic so you don't have to worry about scratching them. And I even like this beige sand color scheme. This has got the color-coded wheel arches as well, which hide the kind of awkward black plastic panels that usually go there. But I just can't get over this front end. It's just not a pleasant thing to look at. And you know, you want to make something that's a bit different to stand out from the crowd. But if the crowd is all in one area and enjoys being in that one area, why would you want to try and pull the crowd somewhere else? Just make another package that's pretty similar. The big shame is that Kia does make excellent vehicles. Like, all of their range is very good in terms of design, driving dynamics, features, price is usually pretty good as well. This is just let down with a poor design. If they put a nice, even if it was a bit conventional, a little bit boring Kia flavor of design, like as in consistent in its range, which I would argue looks pretty good anyway, I think they'll just pick up more sales. They'd pick up more people walking in to have a closer look. But the way that is there, I think it's just missing out on at least drawing in buyers to have a closer look. Anyway, enough of the design. I'm sick of talking about it. I'm sick of criticizing it, because at the end of the day, there's nothing we can do about it until Kia introduces a facelift. Inside, this is a very comfortable and surprisingly luxurious place to be, especially for this class. I love the design in here. I like the door trims, nice big door pockets, bottle holders, and you don't have full scratchy plastics everywhere. It's got split up of different styles or textured plastic, including on the dashboard. Sometimes you don't want vinyl across there because it could, you know, tear and get a bit brittle after spending years in the sun, whereas that's less likely to do that. I do like that that's just a different pattern compared with the conventional elephant skin stuff. And then down below here, nice big switch gear for the climate control, so you can easily adjust the temperature. The main climate control panel is just here. That always stays there. That's okay. I know it's integrated into the screen, which we don't usually like, but at least it does stay there. It is separated. There's a kind of a border down here and here to separate each screen. Digital instrument cluster, and you can configure different display themes and so on. But what I love about it most is it's just very clear and easy to read. Same with the main touchscreen. Grid layout for the main apps. That's all well and good and very intuitive to go through. A bit of color would be nice, but yeah, overall I think it's one of the best touchscreens out there. And on the passenger side, you've got two glove boxes, twin wireless phone chargers, and then your drive mode settings down here with a external dimensions graph. And then this example's got heated and cooled seats. I love the door handle, big metal thing. And then up at the back, yeah, this feels like a special place to be. It's not like you're relegated to a inferior environment. This feels just as luxurious and just as comfortable as the, sorry, a bit of a sun glare there, as the front, really. Got good amount of passenger space, although it feels like my head is a little bit high, but I've got decent clearance and I can see out. So I think the kids are going to like this. They're not going to feel like claustrophobic, like they're shoved in the back of a coupe or something like that. Excellent practicality in here as well. You've got USB ports hidden in the corners there. There's zippered pocket sections so you can keep things concealed. The same intricate details for the vents, and an Australian outlet plug down below. I also like this pocket, which you can put, you know, a tablet or something in there so the kids can watch whatever they need to, or you can just put your phone there. And it does have the grab handles on the pillar and the ceiling, which is good for off-roading in my opinion. This example's also got a conventional sunroof, which does eat into a bit of the ceiling space, but there's a nice big scallop so your head can fit in. But as I said, my head's nowhere near the ceiling. I'm 170 centimeters. It feels totally spacious in here, like I could go on a nice drive. And the seat isn't too upright either. It's kind of slanted back a little bit, or more than some utes anyway. Some of them you kind of fit sitting straight upright, whereas this almost feels like an SUV. In terms of towing, this is max rated at 3.5 tons. GVM is 3,250 kilograms. So when you hook up a 3.5 ton trailer and add a 350 kilograms worth of download on the tow ball, which is what they say, 8 to 10%, you're left with, where was it? 662 kilograms. So basically, if you hook up a 3.5 ton trailer, you've got 662 kilograms left for passengers and any cargo, including in the back. Not including anything in the trailer, that's already at the max 3.5 tons, so you can't add anything to that. But yeah, 660 kilograms is not bad compared with some rivals out there. You're left with 200 or 300 kilograms, so it's doing okay. And then the other letdown, for me anyway, is the engine. 2.2 litre turbo diesel, 154 kilowatts, 440 Newton meters, paired up with an 8-speed automatic with configurable rear-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and a 4A mode. So you can drive on dry tarmac with the security and safety of 4-wheel drive. Power is really good compared with a lot of the rivals, but torque, which I think is more important, especially in a vehicle like this, you're going to be going off-road, you're going to be towing things. It just comes in handy more of the time. It means that you can only access the power when you're revving it right out, whereas torque is usually available in a window much lower in the rev range. So when you're going to the shops or whatever, or as I said, towing or going off-road. The other problem is that Hyundai Kia does have a 3-litre turbo diesel inline 6 that it developed for the Genesis models, and it only lasted a few years, then they got rid of it. But to bring back that and put it in here, I think that would be a perfect engine. But as it is, it just seems a little bit weak, at least on paper. Performance is pretty good though, as we'll see. I'll do a full quarter-mile test and all that. It actually goes pretty good for what it is, and I think it comes down to the 8-speed automatic. It seems to divide up the torque and get the most out of what this engine produces. All right, let's hit the road and see what it handles like, and then we'll go and do some off-roading. Firstly, I love sitting in this driver's seat. It just feels cool to drive. I don't know what it is, kind of like driving a toy army truck or something. A bit like a Jeep Gladiator or Jeep Wrangler, and I don't mean that in a sort of, it's copying that. I just mean it's got that character about it. Square dashboard, horizontal. I can see the opposite corner of the bonnet. It's just got that perched up view, but kind of feels like you're sitting in a bunker. Very sturdy kind of theme going on. I've got good visibility out the front as well. The windscreen is almost upright, and I can see over the side mirror, although the chunk of stuff between the pillar and the mirror is quite sort of thick, but I don't know, there's something about it that I don't have any nervousness knowing what's behind there. I can kind of see over the top, I can kind of see underneath it. And then out the back, Kia has done an excellent job designing the rear windscreen because, yeah, nice clear view, including lining it up with the rear view mirror. It's just a very wide and tall view compared with some utes. And even the B pillar back there, although it is thick, I've still got a good sense of what's going on behind me. Plenty of adjustment from the seat and steering column as well, so it's easy to find a natural driving position. It's kind of no matter how tall or short you are. I can actually lower this seat down even more if I wanted to, so that is good. Not many utes do that, although I'm not a fan of this. I'm not a fan of this squarish steering wheel. It just kind of feels and looks a little bit awkward. But you do have Kia's conventional button layout on the wheel, so you can change the cruise control on one side and then the media on the other side. And you've also got your drive mode buttons down there as well. In terms of performance, look, it gets up and goes okay. I like that it is a quiet engine. It kind of almost sounds like a petrol engine at some points of the rev range. It's got this little whistle going on. That's the turbo obviously, but it's kind of a different whistle sound than a usual turbo whistle. It's kind of more of a high pitch, just a buzzing sound in the background. But yeah, not much in terms of diesel clatter and rattle going on, and very smooth power delivery as well. The gearbox changes down pretty quick, nice and responsive, and you've got paddle shifters as well to provoke changes when you need them. And as I said, you've got the different drive modes. So in sport mode, just becomes a bit more responsive. The gear changes happen a bit sooner or later, depending on what you're talking about, kick down or holding off into the upshift. So that's good if you're doing some sand driving or towing. You want to keep the engine revs up a little bit. Response is slow down a little bit. Try it again. Was already in a drop back a gear anyway, ready to go. Although I probably wouldn't drive around normally in that mode because it's just, yeah, revving it out a bit too much. In terms of handling, I'd like the front end to be just tied down a little bit more, maybe a bit of a tweak on the stabilizer bar, because there's a little bit of kind of twisting and squirming going on compared with other utes as well. I'm not just comparing it to a sports car. It's just a little bit of sort of body roll and body movement happening more than I would prefer, at least on country roads and winding roads and so on. I mean, the trade-off could mean good flexibility off-road, which we'll see in a minute. But yeah, on the road, I'd prefer a little bit more sort of stability, particularly across the front end. The front end also sort of bounces a little bit over certain bumps. Kind of reminds me of a Ford Falcon a little bit. It's kind of got this, yeah, bounciness to it. It doesn't continue to bounce and it doesn't bottom out or anything. It's just the setting that they've gone for. The steering is really nice though. It's light in weight, so it's easy to maneuver in tight city situations. And there's a bit of feedback coming through to give you an understanding of what the tyres are doing. But yeah, just that front end is just a little bit too soft in my opinion. Ride quality is decent. The front end is soft and cushy, so it's good for the passengers. But then the rear end is a little bit jiggly, a little bit bouncy, as per typical with most utes in this class. It just means you can tow heavy things and put heavy stuff in the back, and it's likely to be nice and settled once you do that. We'll take on a few of the lines here, including the right hand side. Over that side, it's got a sort of steep breakover crest, and we might even take on the beast on the left hand side. I've only ever gone up that in the Lexus LX 500D with the height adjustable suspension and all-terrain tyres, but I'll see how we go with these other lines and then just make a call if we will take on that. We'll try out the different modes as well. Tyre pressures are at the standard road pressures, so 34 at the front and 40 at the back. Obviously you'll get a bit more traction if you let them down a little bit, but I'm not interested in doing that. I don't want to help the vehicle, I want to see how it goes by itself. Also, it's so we can compare different models that I've tested in the same or very similar conditions. I mean, there's a bit of wind and corrosion that would happen, I guess, and other people coming up here tearing it up a little bit. But yeah, we can kind of compare the different models. All right, first thing, standard default mode, 4A, no sport mode or anything like that, and I'm not going to touch the traction control button, at least for now. Just easing it up, nice and slow. Here's where we get stuck usually. The traction control has picked it up, sliding a little bit, spinning a bit, I mean. But all in all, that's pretty much driven straight up there without too much trouble. The traction control seems to be pretty responsive, like other vehicles like the Triton GLX. Recently it spun the wheels a little bit and then grabbed it, whereas this kind of felt like it got on top of it a little bit sooner. But that might mean we're limited in power, because you don't want it to grab the wheels too much, because it might, yeah, completely stop you from making progress. That felt pretty good though, like it let away a bit of wheel spin and then corrected it or caught it and allowed us to continue up. So over this little ledge here, we've got a steep drop away on the right hand side, usually gets quite close to the sill panel and pops the rear left tyre in the air, or the rear wheel. That's definitely in the air there. We've got plenty of clearance there. It's nowhere near the side sill. And it's just the handbrake's come on because I've opened the door. And then it's gone into park. But yeah, it seems to be pretty flexible going down that. All right, next up we'll try out 4H, just to see if that little symbol on the top of the instrument cluster, just to see if that kind of limits the wheel spin. And then we'll try out the different modes as well. You've got a X-Track mode, and you've also got terrain mode on the steering wheel. But I'm just going to go through the different modes and just see how it goes. And spinning actually a little bit more in 4H by this. Yeah, that's just spun away. That's full throttle now, and eventually got up. But yeah, that seemed to spin more than in 4A. You do have a nice surround view camera as well, and you can kind of flip the vehicle around Doesn't seem to be transparent around the ground there, but it gets quite close to the edge of the vehicle. There's not like a border around it like some of them. So if you've got a rock or whatever, a big ledge just on the side, you'll be able to see that and then negotiate around. We'll see what sort of modes we've got here. We'll try mud. Downhill brake control on in mud mode. So that's feet off the pedals completely. And it's catching the vehicle. I wouldn't say it's proactive. As I've said before, there seems to be two types of hill descent control. One that kind of lets the vehicle go and it responds, and then there's other ones that kind of proactively, you know, help you down the hill, more like cruise control. This seems to be the former, where it's kind of catching the vehicle as we go down. Both pretty much, you know, just as effective, but I think the sort of cruise control setups are a little bit more stable and a bit more, yeah, less nervous, I guess. All right, now we'll try to lock the rear differential. See if you can do that in 4H. Yep. Got a little symbol on the dashboard. This might stop a bit of that wheel spin happening. Well, it should, theoretically. So just ease it up. I've got about a quarter throttle. Yeah, much better. That was no wheel spin, really. You could hear the relay sort of clicking away, grabbing the front wheel. But yeah, much smoother with the diff locked as expected. Okay, this time we're in low range. We can also try out the X-Track mode, which is kind of like a cruise control system, a bit like the offered in the Land Cruiser, but we'll just go up in 4L to start with. I might change the terrain mode. No, I don't really want sand. We'll try rock. And yeah, see how easy we can get up. Keep a nice steady speed. I'll go into the kind of the worst line. I don't want to make it easy for it. Just here we've got a bit of articulation happening, traction control flickering. Yeah, no problem at all. Seems to have good clearances as well. I reckon we can take on some of these other lines. We'll go up this one as well, which is mainly, it's not that bad. Like, it's got a few lumps and bumps in it and so on, but the top bit here really tests out the breakover angle. Okay, the right hand side now, this is more about testing out the flexibility of the suspension. So we've got these moguls that are kind of opposite, or placed in opposite ends. So two wheels are compressed and the other opposite wheels are unweighted. So yeah, we'll just really try out the, or see the flexibility of the suspension. Also the, to see if these sill panels get close to scrubbing out. As I said, without the side steps, it does provide heaps of clearance. Just go nice and slow. I've just got it in D, by the way. That's gone straight up, no problem at all. Decent turning circle as well, even with the diff locked. And this is quite a long ute, 5.4 meters, according to that little graph on the graphic on the console. But yeah, hooks around quite nicely for its size. So this side, it might not look that bad, but it's quite chunky. It's particularly on this right hand side, there's a steep little ledge, and then up the top, as I said, it's got a very steep breakover point. Just leave it in D again. I mean, you can engage second gear maybe and allow it to go up, but I'll just let it do what it wants to do. Keep a steady pace. Just got my foot just on the throttle. And it didn't scrub out going over that step over that top bit at all. So yeah, definitely very good clearances, and it seems like really good four-wheel drive system. So I'm pretty confident we could take on the beast on the left-hand side. I mean, I'm confident in taking it on, but I don't know whether it will get up or not, but we can at least take it on, because there's been no signs of this body scrubbing out at all, and the drive system seems to be yeah, very good at getting on top of the wheel spin when you put it in the right mode, obviously. It might not look that aggressive on camera, but it's actually, yeah, there's chunks that are taken out of the land, and it is quite steep as well. It's the same as over here, which is 30 degrees. There might even be some points where it's a little bit steeper. It might not be as aggressive as something like Beer O'Clock Hill, but it is the most aggressive off-road bit of track that I've ever taken on. So I'm a little bit nervous. My butt is clenching. It's holding it in. It's yeah, we'll see how we go. I'm a little bit worried because of the overall length, but we'll just take our time and stop if we have to and check out the body. Bit of an angle here, a bit of wheel spin. I thought it might scratch the bumper bar just coming back down then, but it didn't. That's not feeling that good on a big angle. Yeah, that's very impressive. That just went up, didn't even touch the body once. There we go, it actually made it up. I wasn't expecting it to go up that easily. At least the first run. I've since done a couple of external shots, and it did nudge the front control arm, which I think hangs down a little bit too low, and it's totally vertical as well. It'd be good if they had like a curved plate there, just so it can kind of ramp over rocks and slide over them instead of just slamming straight into that vertical piece of suspension. I mean, there's always going to be something that hits first. It's better that it's, you know, something rigid like that than a, you know, oil cooler or whatever. It'd just be good if they had a little plate over that. But overall, very impressive. The drive system seems to be really good. It got up with no problem. That was in the rock mode. You could try out the sand mode and the mud mode and all of that. And you can lock the rear diff even in 4H, which is good as well. Some vehicles you can only be in low range. I didn't try out the X-Trek mode. I did during the external shots just to see what it was like, and it kind of just is a cruise control system that sort of helps you up, but it seemed to be limited by power for me anyway. When I was going up that, it sort of just stopped, went, just kind of sat there because it didn't want to just, yeah, give it full power and like launch over a bit of ledge or something. So I had to give it a bit of power myself, and it eventually got up. But interesting technology though. I think it would come in handy in very slippery conditions, like on a mud, grassy hill or something like that, where you just want to slowly go up the hill. But in these conditions, I think it did fine just in low range and with the rear diff lock. Very good. All right, let's go off and do some performance testing now and see what it goes like.